What's going on, beautiful people? Aiden Smith with the Paint Your Path podcast. We got our co-host, Joel Mercado here.
What's up? What's up?
And we got a very special guest, Mr. Eric Barstow, founder of the Painting Business Pro. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to chat.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you making the time. Finally met you in person over at the expo. That was cool.
Absolutely.
I want to give you a proper intro. Eric is founder of the Painting Business Pro coaching program for painting contractors. He's worked with thousands of painters. He has founded Foothills Painting in Colorado. He built the National Painting Group and has multiple partners. And to me, he's an OG of the game. He was one of my earliest mentors, even though we never actually worked together. When I was starting my painting business in Philly, looked up to him for his videos, helped me out when I got into pickles, when I was on the tools. So it was cool to meet you in person, and you had an awesome presentation over at the expo.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. So what's going on? What's life like, my man?
Man, life is great. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, 3-year-old son who I love to death. We have a ton of fun. I got a 6-month-old daughter, so we're full on over there. And then I'm in the middle of building our dream house. So we're still in our starter house. We're moving into our pretty epic home here, and probably October, November. Bought the property in 2020. Finally got it started last June, and it's looking sick. So that's been really busy. And then, yeah, business is booming and going on a golf trip next week. Yeah,
That's
you asked
fun.
me if I was busy. I'm like, I don't know, busy is a weird word, but my life is full. I got a full life.
Yeah. What would you say, obviously family and that kind of stuff, what would you say is where you want to put your time right now? You know, because obviously you've leveled up, right? You went from painting business to the coaching to now a national group. Where do you want to put your time?
That's a tough question. I mean, I've always built my business with constraints, meaning I've never worked more than about 30 hours a week. That's probably about what I'm doing now. So when you be like, are you busy? I'm like, I work 30 hours a week, but also when I work, I work. I mean, I get massive amounts done when I'm working, and I'm all on. I spend every morning and every evening with my family. You know, like I said, I got a golf trip coming up. So I feel like right now I'm doing a lot of the things I really love. The one change I would make is to what's going on right now would be just a little more room to breathe. I'm pushing really hard right now to get our house wrapped up, to pay for some things out of pocket I want in that house, to, get some things going with the business. Cause we're just super I'm not working on my business these days because I'm working on it now because I really love what we're building, and I'm super excited for the next phase that I get to move into when I accomplish my next goals. I get to transition into doing a lot more events, which I really love doing events with people. I get to transition into more coaching leaders and partners and members and building training development programs in the company more, which I really love to do. So I'm super excited just for what we're building, and what's next and what gets unlocked. But I think a 25 to 30 hour work week is pretty good for me. I like to work a little bit every day. It fuels me, getting a little flow in every day, feels good. So, I've gone to the extremes where I was working a lot less than that at times, and I'm less fulfilled, So I think that's kind of where I like to target is somewhere between 20 and 30 hours a week, be able to travel when I want, have a little more flexibility. But right now I've got my foot on the gas with some initiatives and some things we're working on, including building a house.
That's awesome. When I look at Eric Barstow, I think of a guy who likes to build things and not have to spend so much time draining himself doing it. That was the constant theme. When I would watch your videos, you would be like, dude, I maybe work 10, 15 hours a week on the painting business, and we're still killing the competition. So that's kind of how I see when you are approaching these tall tasks and building your house and stuff like that. I know that you still want to be able to do the things you want. So I kind of feel that.
Yeah, I definitely get bored when I'm just doing the same thing over and over. And so a lot of it's I fill up my 30 hours a week or whatever it is at the time. I fill it up, and then I figure out how to empty it out. And then I fill it up with the next thing, and then I empty it out. I fill it up and I empty it out. And what I'm always trying to empty out is the less valuable stuff and move into or the more aligned stuff, the stuff I love more, the things that contribute the most value, and the things that really solve the next constraints in the business the most. But I've definitely got a strength around building stuff, building training, building development, building frameworks, building playbooks. And I really like that stuff. And then I love all the coaching, particularly these days working with leadership and developing my people.
Yeah. When you talk about time like that, Eric, I think a lot of people see this now, but they don't realize how much time you put in when you first started, right?
Yeah,
So
the heavy lift the heavy lift for me wasn't when I started Foothills. I started Foothills in 2010, and since then, whatever, that's been 15 years. There's maybe been like a year or two where I worked more than 30 hours a week. And there were
Just a
also
year or
years where I
two.
worked. There was also probably more than 2 years where I worked less than 20 hours a week. But my heavy lift was in college. You know, it was 2005 through 2010 when I was working at College Works Painting. There were years, man, where like I was working 50 or 60, maybe even a 70-hour work week on top of school in the spring, training 21 college students, helping them sell jobs, knock doors, build crews. Those were my like really heavy lifting years. Like that's where I got a lot of my reps in, so that I knew how to do it, so I could do it with no time once I got out. So those were the years, man. It was my college years that were like massive hustle. And I can tell you a lot of crazy stories about like what the things were like then. I sucked. I was not good, but I worked my ass off, and I always had a good attitude, and I learned, and I failed up. But yeah, I didn't, it's part of my belief in people, man, is I know how bad I was in the early years, but I definitely put my reps in college.
You put parties to the side?
Mostly.
The
Yeah.
nightlife?
Not a lot, man. Like I partied a little bit. I partied on trips. Like when I partied, you know, but, like I was the last guy at the party when we had the company trip to Vegas, the company trips to Cancun, the Friday nights out on payroll Fridays. Like, yeah, we would throw down. But relative to some of my buddies, I remember the second or third year I was with that company, I was living in a house with some of my best friends who were like working at a restaurant. They were trying to talk me out of like continuing with the company because they didn't see me much. You know, like they're like, dude, come work at the restaurant, party. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to get an opportunity to like run and lead teams and get trained like this for like years if I don't take advantage of it now. And I just couldn't. The more they tried to talk me out of it, the more I was like, I got to keep doing this. And I just got so much training and development over those years. It was super invaluable. So I'm really grateful for, you know, the mentors and coaches I had that like were able to motivate me and get me to tick. Because looking back, I can't believe the shit that they got me to do. You know, I just can't even believe I did the things that I did when I did them for the amount of money I did them for. It was crazy. But man, a lot of my very best friends to this day are people I coached and mentored in college, and the skills I developed there like are how I have the life I have today. Like it was the best thing that I ever did was hustle in those early days. But yeah, pretty wild the shit I went through.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Go ahead, bro.
Now I was gonna say my mentor came kind of through the same program. And it's like kind of what he did to me. Like my first years in the painting industry, I was like, what am I walking into right now? But you know, fast forward, buying back time and being able to really coach and help people move up. So that's why I love that you share that, because I think a lot of people when they first start in their painting companies, they forget that there is a little bit of a grind in the beginning to build up. But then at some point when you have those processes and policies and everything that you're doing, and that's what your program does so well, it's like you could start to fire yourself, right? Like really step away out of those positions. But I see that, I hear that a lot, that people are like, well, I want what you guys have. It's like, well, dude, if you saw what day one looked like, are you willing to do that? And are you able to? And then get the processes as soon as possible. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that, because usually people think we just skip from one step to the other. And I still think there's a little bit of a principle of sacrifice and get it going, right? And then you can start working your way up that way.
Yeah, I mean, a big reason why I have the results I have now is just because I've done one thing for 20 years. I mean, I chased some shiny objects in there, but like generally, like I've just been doing this for 20 years and hustling pretty hard, you know, not necessarily with hours the whole time, but like I'm very intentional. I'm super hungry about learning. I take action really fast. I fail really fast. Also, you know, so I totally agree with you on that. And then at the same time, man, the world has changed so much. Like your access to information is freaking amazing now. Like I didn't have it back in the day when I was making YouTube videos. Like, dude, I remember when I launched Painting Business Pro, there wasn't anyone at all doing it. I literally wrote an article one day when I was in Dominican Republic, like how to start a painting business. And it was ranked 1 on Google in like a week. Like there was nothing out there. There was just nobody doing it. Like I had no resources. The amount of availability of resources that, and not just in painting, but everywhere now is bonkers, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much you can shortcut time these days. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like you still got to put in the hustle, put in the grind and all that. But I'm a firm believer too, that like, you don't have to sacrifice the important stuff. You got to sacrifice something, but like, you don't have to sacrifice the time with your kids, or you don't have to, like, you don't need to do a 60 or 70 hour work week. Like you can accomplish amazing things in 40 hours. So it's kind of a little bit of both, but you're going to have to pay your dues.
Yeah, 100%.
One of the things I know you mentioned a lot is having a dialed in a calendar. Like you say, hey, you can't even work with me as far as like be a partner or anything like that. I won't even consider you unless you have a business plan and a calendar that's dialed in. And you said that at the expo. I believe I quoted that correctly. How important is that to you? Obviously, calendar is like what allows you to do so many things at a high level and still make time for the things you want to do, like golf and stuff like that.
All right. So it's the very first thing I do with anybody in like our mastery program. And it's the first thing we do with any employee. First thing we ensure is in place with any partner is your calendar. And the way that I think about this is, so I'll go back to, I'll go back a little ways on like how this came about. So I put this thing together called 4 Rules of Time Management. It's four things. And it's like, first, you got to list out everything that's important to you, like everything that's important to you. And the second, you got to list out like, what would you do every week to fulfill those things that are important to you? What would you do every day, every week? Like what would what you actually do to fulfill what's important to you? And then third, you put it in your calendar. And you take all those lists of recurring things and you plug it into a calendar and you plan everything that matters to you in your life. And if you do it thoroughly, you end up with a calendar that's like, if I show you mine, it's 5 a.m. until like 9 p.m. Like there's no white space. Like it's a completely full calendar. And for some people, they look at that and it's like, it looks overwhelming. But once you go through that process and you actually put it in place, what most people experience is an enormous amount of peace of mind and an incredible amount of presence. Your mind is clear. You don't have to-do lists running through your head. And what a waste of your mind and your brain to have to use it as a to-do list. When you free that up and everything's in a calendar and everything drops into a calendar, like you can be totally present in the thing that you're doing right now, knowing that everything else is planned. I started to implement this with people on my team back in like 2015. I just did a call every week and I would teach it to people on my team. And what we started to notice was that, and it wasn't like enforced. It was just like, hey, this helps. And the people who followed the rules outperformed and had a better quality of life 100% of the time relative to people who didn't. Like they always won. They all outperformed. They all had less stress, better quality of life. And so then we started to make it required. And it's, so we just found like, number one, you fulfill everything that's important to you in your life. Like how great is that? Number two, you have more peace of mind and a better experience in life. Number three, your performance is better. And so that's like kind of why we do that. There's more reasons though too. So you want me to keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. Please
So-
game right now.
Yeah, I love it.
So then once you've built out your whole calendar, like fundamentally, all of the results that you produce are a function of the action you take. And so when I live by my calendar, like one thing that's really hard for people to do is change their habits and patterns, right? So if I know that there's a better way to do something, but I'm a habitual person, then it's going to take a long time for me to shift to do the more effective thing. But if I can create one habit called I just live by my calendar, then I can literally just make a change in my calendar and it changes my action, it changes my output. And so I don't a lot of people go through life like in business, like as soon as my business gets to here, then I'll spend time with my kids, then I'll travel, then I'll fill in the blank. But you keep moving the goalposts because you get to the next thing and guess what? It ain't it. Like you're busier. You got more responsibilities. You got more accountabilities in the business. So that framework doesn't really work because, and like tomorrow's not guaranteed, if I miss some things now, like my kid's not 3 again, my daughter's not 5 again. And so I think the only way that you ever really live a life of your own design is when you take the time to design your life. And then you live inside of those constraints and you got to figure out how to get the work that you need to get done in the time that you have for the work. And then that becomes my mechanism inside of that. Like I said earlier, it's like inside of my 30 hours, these actions get this result. So I got to trade out the least valuable actions, trade in the most valuable actions, and I get a better result. And I just make trades like that, like every quarter or so where I dump out 25, 30% of my calendar and replace it with more valuable stuff. And if you just did that for like 10 years, like the compounding effect of making those trades every quarter for 10 years, you make 40 of those trades, like the value of your time and the value of the things you do just grows and grows and grows. And it doesn't require more hours. We can work more hours to get more results, but that's just one lever I can pull. Like if I worked another 30 hours a week, I'd get more done. But there's like a lot of other levers you can pull to get more done. And I just choose personally to pull on all the other levers and not pull the time lever because time is my most important thing. And I can find lots of other ways to improve productivity, performance, output, growth, that doesn't require the hours.
I feel like I'm like mapping
That's
out
awesome.
your brain as a machine. And it's like plug and play, right? It's very simple. It's when you do something and you do it at a high level consistently for a long time, you're going to get results. And if you're not fulfilled while doing that, you swap it out. So it's like your calendar is a reflection of your brain, your life, how you want to live. And if you want to change your life, change your calendar and stay consistent and you'll be dialed. So
yeah, and it's partly where the question on like, what do you want to be doing is hard to answer because I'm like, I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. And like, I have a vision. you know? And so that thing I'm doing, like my calendar looks way different now than it did 6 months ago or 3 months ago than it did 3 months before that, 3 months before that. The amount of time and when I work hasn't changed much, but what's in it is constantly being overhauled. Like I'm always questioning, like, do I still need that meeting? Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into a calendar that just gets set to repeat and then you never question it. That's like, I try to question every day, like, do I need to do any of the things that are in here? Like, are these the things that I need to be doing to move the thing forward? So my team has learned how to work with me, but like, I'm constantly like, all right, cancel all the meetings. We're not doing meetings for a month. All right, bring all the meetings back. All right, now we're a meeting. Now it's a 30-minute meeting. Now it's an hour meeting. Like it's constantly changing because like the landscape changes, the needs change. Like it's not just kind of this mindless, you know, thing. Like being highly intentional with your time, I think, is one of those other levers you can pull. That's not more hours, but like intention.
Reminds me of kind of like Hormozy, the kind of the style of thinking, right? And kind of just the methodology behind it. I'm sure you're familiar with Hormozy, right? So
yeah, take it as a compliment.
Yeah, man. So talking about vision, let's talk about Painting Business Pro. Let's back up. What made you want to start that, right? Because Joel has his own reasons for his coaching business. I have mine. What was kind of yours, if there was a defining moment, or if you just picked up and said, I want to teach people?
No, dude. I read the 4 Hour Work Week and I'm like, amused. Did you read that book? You know what he talks about when he says amuse? It's a thing in his book, right? The 4 Hour Work Week. He called it amuse is a business that basically is online and it's just like you can just make money and not do anything. And he's like, the best business for this is an information product. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know anything about doing business online. I'm like a painting guy that knocks on doors and sells paint jobs. I want to learn this online business thing. I'm like, unfortunately, the only thing I've done in my working career is teach people how to start a painting business. So guess that's what I'm going to do. And so I sat down and I recorded on an iPhone my first course on how to start a painting business. I was doing like $600K a year at the time. I was making $110,000. I taught a bunch of people how to do it, so I knew how to like just teach it and put it on CDs. It was before Dropbox was like a real thing, so it's literally on CDs. I still have one. Eight CD set, easy painting biz, and I was shipping CDs out to people for $139. It was unprofitable because I didn't know anything about the internet. I would run a Google ad, like start your painting business to a sales page. By the way, side, I have a lot of stories about this. If we want to go on like the whole journey.
This is awesome.
Dude, the guy who wrote my very first sales page, his name's Stefan Georgi. He's one of the most like highly paid copywriters in the world right now. Like 50K for a sales page, runs one of the biggest copywriting groups in the world. He's like a big shot dude right now. He wrote my first sales page for $1,000 on Upwork back in 2013. And I got banned from Google the day I launched ads to it because it was so get rich quick. So it's kind of funny. He knows this. I've told him because I've talked to him since. Anyways, so I did that for a year, almost a year, maybe 6 months. I would spend $150 on Google Ads to sell 139 DVD, CD set that I would ship out to someone. And then I'm like, well, I'm making $10. I'm losing $10 every sale. I quit doing it. And then, do you know Noah Kagan?
No.
He's a super good dude. He runs AppSumo was his company. So he was early employee at Facebook, left, started AppSumo. It's like $100 million a year business. They sell software, bulk bundled, discounted software and stuff. But he's super good dude. I went to this retreat with him randomly one summer, and he wrote a best-selling book recently, and he told my story in it, of my Foothills painting story.
Oh, that's fire.
And so
that's awesome.
it was called $1 Million Weekend was his book. And so I go to this retreat with him. There's like 10 entrepreneurs there or something. And one day we went through our stories on how we got our first 3 customers. And he's like this big hustle guy. He loves hustle. Oh, and so he loved that I knocked on doors to get my first customers. And so that night, his team put together like a thing they're going to send to their email list on, hey, here's 10 ways people got their first 3 customers. And he's like, yo, dude, we're going to use you in the email because you love the story. And he's like, hey, didn't you say you have like a course or something? Let me plug it. I'm like, oh, that old thing? I'm like, sure, man. So they send out an email. We get wasted that night. 600,000 people on their email list. I woke up to like $5,000 in sales.
No way.
And one of the guys I bought, Sean, I was only teaching people door to door. And at the time I was doing the marketing company too, right? Through Painter Choice. And he's like, dude, I don't want to do door to door. I'm like, all right, man, how about you buy some leads from Painter Choice? I'll do a little sales coaching with you to make sure it works. And he's got some leads, sold his first job, made a bunch of money. And we were really focused on the marketing company because I quit on this, I'm like, if I get people to start a painting business, they'll buy leads from us. And so this is like really early years, like don't know what I'm doing as a business owner. So I did the same thing, but I ran ads again, but to a page that had 4 videos on how to start a painting business. And that's when I made my very first 4 YouTube videos. It was how to start a painting business from scratch, how to estimate paint jobs. There was like 2 or 3 other videos. I made 4. And all of a sudden, dude, what happened is I ran ads to this page with the 4 videos, and then people would just started buying. And I started making like $700 a month.
So you
And I was like,
discovered the VSL.
well, then I was like, I'll make some more YouTube videos. So I did, and I made $3,000 in sales a month. I'm like, huh. And then I wrote the article, and it went, and then it was like 10,000 sales a month, and then it just progressed. That was like 2014 or something like that. And then literally Painting Business Pro just progressed from there, where I never thought it was a real business. Like this was always like a little side thing. I was making money on my painting companies. I was launching other painting companies and all that. But like the more I just like kept making it a little better, because my business was growing. It went from 600,000 to $1 million to $2 million to $3 million to $5 million. As my painting companies got better, I looked at my course and it looked worse and worse and worse by contrast. And so then I would rebuild the entire program, and I'm like, well, I can't sell it for $140 anymore. So there's like $197 program, $297 program, $497 program, $997 program. And I did that all the way up until 2021, where just like more videos, more ads, more articles, make the program better. Then what happened, dude, was in 2021, we did a lot of work with some consultants on creating a vision for our portfolio, like our painting companies. It was really powerful, a vision, a future for the company that we're like really pumped and really behind. And we just had so much like energy into this thing. And by contrast, I also knew that Painting Business Pro become like about money. It wasn't always like I was learning, I was teaching, it was fun, it was cool. But I even wrote in like one of my, journal or somewhere, I wrote things in January 2021, wrote Painting Business Pros become about money. And even though I said that, I totally fucking missed it. And basically what I proceeded to do for the next 6 months is try to sell the shit out of it.
Really?
It's like, I was like,
actual
money. Let's go make as much money as I can.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I did. We started doing like webinars every week, and all this stuff was going. And I was doing like a webinar every week and running Facebook ads to a webinar and selling my $2,500 program at the time. And by April, I was making $100,000 a month, which was really cool at the time. I was like, that's really cool. And then something like saved my life, which was Facebook and Apple got into it, and Apple pulled their data from Facebook, and it destroyed my whole marketing funnel.
Damn.
I went from spend $2,000 in ads to sell $30,000 programs that I had one employee. Like there was no effort in this. It was just a course. There's no coaching, no webinars, no events, no onboarding, nothing. It's like, click here, pay, you got access. And by July, I spent like $7,000 on ads and didn't make a sale. Like the Facebook thing broke. It broke a lot of people at the time. If anyone who was heavy on Facebook back then will remember it.
I hear that sometimes.
So the gift was, I'd like to think that I would have wised up, but the reality is I don't know if I ever would have walked away from $100,000 a month that easy. And I was totally selling out. And when I looked at my program at the time, I wasn't super proud of it. It was like people were getting great results with it. Don't get me wrong, like the business owners, but I wasn't really proud of the businesses they were building, the conversations they'd have about contractors or subcontractors or customers. Like I saw in the Facebook group, I had like 1,200 members in my Facebook group at the time. And I just wasn't proud of the conversations. And I just had to have a real honest look at myself. Because here's the other thing is I was like, I don't want to, for me to do it right is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to need to rebuild the entire program. I'm going to need to do coaching calls. I'm going to need to do onboarding. I'm going to need to build a team. it's not this like little get money into my account every month or whatever, and I'm going to need to charge a lot more money, and that's going to change I'm going to basically need to reinvent the business completely. Yeah. And I didn't know if I wanted to do it. And I spent 3 months considering, do I just close it down? Say, that was great and end it, or do I reinvent it? And after some reflection, I'm like, I don't feel like I can walk away from it. I feel like I've changed a lot of people's lives. And there's people, if I took it from some of these people, if I took what I gave them, I couldn't do it. So I feel like I need to reinvent it. So I took my program off the market for a year. And I went from making $500,000 and we lost Joel. I went from making $500,000 in profit in like 6 months to I lost $150,000 in the next 18 months, reinventing and rebuilding the business and the program. So you
went through some adversity with this thing.
It was the cost of living true and being real and authentic with what I was doing and offering.
I love that.
I'm like, I'm only going to build it. And that's when I created the new mission of the company. People create freedom, discover what's possible, and build a company people love. We built a program, launched events, I've mostly been just focused on products since 2021. Only now, like I'm actually putting a lot of my time in marketing at the moment. But it's literally the first time since 2021. So it's been almost all product. So anyways, yeah, man,
The
that's the
origin
painting
story.
business pro story from literally I was trying to make $2,000 a month selling CDs. So I could
You
learn
got
how
to
to do
frame those,
business.
bro.
I have them. Oh, I keep them. I show them. I bring them out at every painting business pro event. I'm like, you have no idea what you're capable of or where this is going to lead. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and then what has come from it 10 years later is absolutely wild, and our portfolio now and all that. So I don't share that story often. I think the only time anybody ever has heard that story is at my events. So
that's good. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. So like when you're, looking at guys that are craftsmen, we hear a lot of business owners, really about the numbers and whatnot.
Yep.
Where do you fall with the conversation of the craftsman, right? Because we're in the PCA. We just had Nick Slavic on. He's really big in the craft. Obviously, he understands the business and whatnot, but he is like so honed into doing it at the highest level. Where does kind of Eric fall into that?
What would be like a more specific question?
Yeah,
just to go with that pretty big and broad.
I guess it's not really a question. It's more of a take, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that think, oh, well, I can't build my business because I have to be the one that's making sure that the quality control is there. My guys are at the highest level. And it kind of puts a ceiling on them, right? And what they can do.
Yeah.
Others are very on the opposite spectrum. Hey, I want to look at it as numbers and I barely want to be in it. And I just wanted to kind of see your take, not really a question.
All right. Well, there's a few angles to go with this, right? So one would be the person who really loves the craft themselves and they feel like they need to choose between doing the craft or building a business. And if I was talking to someone who's like that and they're like, I don't want to build the business, I love the craft, then I would say, great, then you should be charging a premium price because you are very unique in that you love the craft, you're good at the craft, you're committed to and willing to give an exceptional level of service. And you don't need that many clients and you can't handle that many clients. So there's a way to build a business around that where you could make $200,000 a year painting 30 hours a week and do the thing you love and create a long wait list of referrals and niche yourself into super high end customers that want the guy that is the business owner, is the painter. Like, so that would be my advice to that person is like, you can apply good business principles and be that. So some people think I have a way I want you to run your business and I don't. Our whole thing starts with what are your intentions? Like, what do you want out of your business and your life? And so how do we need to build and design the business to fulfill those outcomes? And then let's apply fundamental business principles with marketing, sales, supply and demand, project management, organization, so you can get that outcome. So
are you speaking?
Go ahead.
No, I love that. That's totally like, I agree, right? If you're going to go that route, you need to make sure you're the creme de la creme and you can create the life you dreamed of doing that, right? So it's like you have to charge more and like you said, kind of niche down. Are you speaking more of your painting business pro when you say, hey, what we try to do is figure out what you want and then here's the way to kind of go and attack it in that way?
Well, the main point I want to leave people with is like, if you're someone who wants to do the craft, you can do the craft and you can make a ton more money than you're making right now doing the craft by instilling some good business principles into it, right? And then the other angle, back to your question on like my take on the craft, I have two other takes. So this is the next one.
Go ahead.
Most customers don't care. Like most customers, they don't want to pay for that super high level because you've got to run your business in a healthy way, which means you basically got to double your costs to have a healthy business. And if you're going to do so you've got to deliver the level of service a customer actually wants. And I see that as a hurdle for some people who are really into the craft so much that they have higher expectations for their product than the customer does. And so you either need to charge them for that, but then they won't pay because they don't want it. Or you've got to give them options and say, hey, I can do like this premium level, but it's going to cost more. And it's probably things you'll never notice because you're not like a master craftsman. And so I think there's a huge part of the market that wants an 8 out of 10 paint job and an 8 out of 10 price.
Yeah.
And if you want to deliver a 10 out of 10 paint job, you got to charge a 10 out of 10 price, but you're not going to win a lot of business because customers just don't care. And so your job as a business owner is to give customers what they want. And you should be clear about what the levels of service are and get them what they want. And then the third take is I so admire people who are like a master of the craft.
Yeah.
The Nick Slavics, the people who like have gotten there, like, and as you grow the business, that becomes so important that you've got people who are in place who are passionate about that. And so like, I've got a team of people who really care about that. Super important. So I'm not it, but like, I was never going to be that guy that was going to get really deep into it. But I think you do need that in your business, especially if you really want to scale and be good. Like you've got to be really masterful at what you're doing, what you're delivering, like, and your products and applications and like all the little nuances.
Eric, I love this, man. This is super awesome because like obviously I'm learning a lot about you too, and like just listening in on everything. Like I haven't had too much. I kind of stuck in my own realm for a long time, and now that we're just in the industry and starting to get to know more guys, I just really appreciate what you've done and what you're doing for everybody, right? So it's been awesome, man. It's been cool to watch.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, and as far as like your actual program, right? Because I see it as like the OG program. You know, how has that developed? And we know the story behind it, but like, what are you guys focusing on now? Who is it tailored to? What is it about? Kind of what is the inside of what the Painting Business Pro looks like?
I don't want to talk too much about it because I'd rather, I don't know how many people care about the program. If you want to know about the program, I can send you all the information on a document about the program. I'm happy to do that, by the way. I mean, dude, in short, like I've done this for a long time. I'm really good at it. I've narrowed it down to, the 3 phases of scaling a company. I don't think I talked about phase 0 at the PCA, but like I've added phase 0. So phase 0 is 0 to 400K. It's where the only thing you really need to accomplish when you're under 400K is you got to get to 400K. Why? Because at 400K, it's roughly 10K a week. It's $120,000 a year in profit, doing it 40 hours a week. Because if you're much under that, then you're going to be financially stressed. And if you're financially stressed, then that's going to take all of your attention as paying the next bill, as it should. And you can't really focus on building a business when you're worried about your next bill. And so the only goal you should have if you're under 400K is how to rapidly get to 400K. And so what's the fastest path to getting to 10K a week? And so that's like our first program is like, just how do we get you there in like 90 days? Yeah. Like really rapidly, strip it all down, take all the distractions away, and keep you focused on like execution of these very few things to get to 10K. And then you get into phase 1 where, okay, now we've got a little bit of space to breathe. Phase 1 is about building the foundation. And phase 1 is where really you're growing through improvement. You're not growing through hustle anymore. You're growing through more effective at marketing, more effective with your sales process, and more effective with your project management. So that instead of 10K a week, I can now do 20K a week in the same amount of time because my processes are better. And then the other thing you're doing in the foundation is you're documenting all the playbooks. Obviously, that's if you don't tap into playbooks, but that's what needs to happen in the foundation before you can build a team. Because if you don't have a really good process and it's not documented, forget trying to build a team, you're going to fail. It's not going to work out. There's so many people out there who have a team. They're doing $1.5 million a year with a team, and they're still working 50 hours a week. I'm like, why are you working 50 hours a week with a team? You should be working 10 hours a week with a team. And so it's because you didn't have the right things done in the foundation. So that's phase 1. And then you move into phase 2 where you build a team and you got to recruit great people. You got to train them really well. You got to put good development management procedures in place. And that's essentially that's what our programs do. We've got one that's 0 to 400, the other one that's 400 to 3 million. And then if you want to go way past that, we would consider partnering with you.
Yeah. I like that because I think I'm sure Joel can attest to this, but we've seen people at every single level and there's different coaching for different levels, right?
Yeah.
Because you're focusing on specific things when you're super small, right? Road to 10K. What does that look like? Let's get there, prove the concept, and then we start rolling and then on to the next, right? So I feel that same way as well. And we're doing stuff in our program to kind of really tailor that as well in that experience. I'm also interested because you've been in it. I mean, you mentioned, right? Like 15 years or so. Like that's a long time. How have you seen kind of like the game change when it comes to painting and what?
I mean, honestly, like not much.
Really?
I mean, here's the thing is like the biggest change is that a decade ago, $1 million painting company was pretty rare. Like that's the biggest thing that's changed. So now there's like, it's not that rare. Like you got a lot of them, you got a lot of $3 million companies. You got some $10 million companies. Like there's bigger and bigger businesses, which is cool. And what I'll also say, just like for people have perspective, is like, it's still the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it is this industry to some degree is lagging behind like the big companies happening, but there's so much room to still like come in, build a great company, get to a few million. The industry is so big and so underestimated. And so, when I look at things, I kind of always look at it like I'm not further along because I'm not good enough at X still. There's never been a point for me, and really for anybody, where competition, market, economy is the problem. Now, they are problems. Don't get me wrong. Like those are things. They are real. And if I just look, I'm like, well, are you world class at marketing yet? No? All right, go get better at marketing and your business will grow. Are you world class at sales yet? No? Go get better at sales and your business will grow. Are you world class at developing leaders in your team? No? Then get better at that and your business will grow. Like there's never been a point where I'm like, we're as good as we can ever get at every part of the business and we're not growing because of competition. So that's what I'm kind of meant by like, what's changed? I'm like, nothing, dude. The market's bigger. There's more houses. Prices are up. Our prices rise with inflation. Our prices rise when material costs go up. Our prices rise when labor costs go up. More houses are being built. Like it's gotten better and better in a lot of ways. And it's also the exact same. Like it's market, sell, produce. It's a pretty simple thing. You just got to get better at it. And more people are getting better at it, which is, great to see. But man, I feel like the bar is still pretty low to outperform people in this industry.
I love that you said that because I've been preaching that lately. I'm like, don't worry about the competition. Worry about your infrastructure and worry about you, your people, grow what you have going on. So I do have a question on that because, like, I know Aiden and I really see this often. What could you tell our listeners about, decision making? Because, like, a lot of people are in that loop of like, well, if I want to scale and I want to do these things, and I hear I want. You can give them the play, you can give them the blueprint, you can say all these things and they still stay stuck in this loop. What have you seen that you've been able to implement or maybe even say to someone like that that's listening right now to get out of that loop? What would like shift someone's mindset to just go ahead and do what they have to do to make it happen? Like what would that look like for you?
Well, I can answer two ways. One is like in our actual coaching program, and then the other is just like a person that I'm just talking to. So honestly, the thing we've done the most for that in the coaching program is charge more money. Like when people have their ass on the line more, they take more action. Like the more money we charge and the more accountability we put on people, because we do like that's been like one of the biggest things I've leaned into is like people do need accountability.
Yes.
I've always had wildly successful members. They just were few and far between. There were the ones that could just do it without accountability. But the more we have accountability baked into our programs, the more successful people are. And the more we charge and make people put their ass on the line, amazingly, the more they follow the advice and the better the results they get. And so that's kind of like, if I don't charge much, like people don't care.
Well, that might be more advice for us than our listeners.
But I think the biggest thing with the main thing that I'm looking for is someone that not even about the money on that side of things. It's more of the mental side, the mindset of like, hey, I'm already like we do like discovery calls, right? Like if we were to do a discovery call, I'm not looking at a way of like selling someone in a sense. It's more of a way of just getting in their mindset to be like, listen, dude, like stop. Like I'm sure you've had it for how many years you've been doing this. Like what's something that you've just interrupted that pattern or just said, just boom, that can get someone to shift?
I'm just super direct with people and I kind of call them on their shit. I was talking to a guy today who's like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay for coaching and all. I'm like, look, dude, you have 2 kids. You have 3 kids, man. You have 3 kids. You're not making enough money. And what you've been doing isn't working. And it's going to keep not working. And if you don't, like, it's just driving into the pain, man. Like people are just dinking around. Like people aren't taking their life seriously. So it's like, get serious about your life. So I think it's like these hard truths that people kind of are like dancing around. And I think this isn't, from a place of being a dick. It's like from a place of love and compassion of like, dude, there's nobody who's going to be straight with you in your life. Everybody's nice. And I'm going to be the straight, honest coach that you need. And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And you're either going to wake up and get serious about your life, or you're going to think I'm an asshole, and I'm okay with that. And so I just don't think like being soft or dancing around. I'm just a direct guy, you know? So if I see it, I'm going to say it. I'm going to, stand for people. So it's not just like, it's not like a strategy. It's like, I care, and I'm going to be direct and honest with you because I care, because I love you, because I want to help you. And no one else is going to say it to you like this. And some of the most powerful coaches or mentors I've had in my life are the ones that will say the thing that no one else will say, that you need to hear. And they can say it with love and compassion. So I don't know if that is what you're looking for or not, but
I love that. I think you highlighted anyways how Aiden and I are in general. So like we're definitely like that. I just wanted to make sure we're not losing our mindset.
That's what
Dude, most
resonated
people
with
won't,
me.
man. Most people won't. Most people won't. And it points back to why I said I think the bar's still pretty low. Because most people don't take their life seriously. Like most people won't make the change. Most people will stay comfortable. And that is the opportunity. Like that's the opportunity right there. And so I've tried to I try not to chase much, but the more I can spread that gap between what do you really care and what do you really want in your life that really matters, and how far from that you are, that's what will get people to act, but it won't get, but most people still won't.
Yeah, I think it's almost frustrating, borderline, right? It's almost like what you've done for people, right? The lives you've changed, and maybe you see some potential in the person you're on the other line with, and it's like they're not willing to commit and take that chance. And that's why you have to do great marketing. That's why you have to put it out there, tell your story of what you're doing and the impact you're making, so people can then look at themselves and take action.
Yeah. The only thing that's the part of it that's frustrating for me is when I feel like I care more about someone's life than they do.
Facts.
Thank you, dude.
Facts.
Yeah, it's wild. Absolutely. Well, because you've seen the results, right, Eric? Like, what you taking your life serious, what that's done for you, and how it's changed your life and how it's changed many people that you've worked with. And I think a lot of people, when they get in that loop mindset wise, is they don't know, right? My mentor said the best thing. It was so simple to me. He's like, people just don't know what they don't know. And I'm like, man, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you said that, because it's so true, and it shows in your work. So, so let's go into the topic of why, right? Like purpose and why, since we're already kind of in that topic of what's going to do for your life, right? Obviously, you said you stuck to something for 20 years. You stayed focused. You were intentional on that, right? Do you see a commonality on people's whys and why they're doing the painting company? So all of your painting clients, what was their why? Do you see a commonality of such?
First I'll just, be real about how I did this for 20 years. The first 6 years, someone else motivated me and kept talking me into it, and I kept getting value out of it. And then I did it for 3 years because I knew how to make money and I could travel the world and make $100,000 doing it part-time. And then I did it for a few more years because I was like, well, I'm making 100K doing 5 hours a week. I bet I could make 200K doing 10. And then I was like, well, now I could get rich on this thing. So let's just get rich. And then it was kind of like, in some ways it was by accident, but there was a point along the way where I got clear that basically all business ends up being the same, because any successful business ends up being building teams, and any successful business is delivering a product or a service to a client, and it's optimizing that, getting that better. And at the end of the day, there's someone on the end of the service or product. And so kind of like all businesses end up being the same. So who really cares? Just pick one and go all in on it. And I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to do painting. And so it was kind of like luck, accidental, to be here as long as I have. And now that I'm here, I can say, yeah, I just did it for 20 years, but I can't take any credit for having wisdom early on. It was literally kind of just one short-sighted decision after another that ended up being one direction for 20 years. In terms of why, what I've noticed, man, is because I've asked thousands of people on calls and webinars and stuff, why do you start a business? And you can only answer with one word. And overwhelmingly, it's some version, and overwhelmingly is an understatement. Everyone, it's either freedom or financial freedom, which are the same thing to me, because you don't have freedom without financial freedom. That's just being unemployed. Or it's what they would do if they had freedom, which is always my second question. I'm like, freedom, cool. What would you do with it? And that answer is where it goes a lot of different directions. But fundamentally, it's like, why start a business, man? I want to create freedom. And what I've noticed is a lot of people who have gotten, because I've had quite a few people get there, for me, it's like $3 million business, team in place, runs the day to day, you're making $500,000 a year. And I notice a common theme of You get there and that's really sweet, but then you have freaking lost.
Mhm.
Like, what do I do now? Because it's like, well, I guess I just grow it more. Like, I don't want to just do nothing, but I don't really just want to like grow it more because that's a ton of effort and headache and, all that to grow it to make more money, but I don't need more money. So the trade-off isn't what it was before when more money meant a lot, because not everybody's like, I need to make millions. They're like, dude, I'm making $600,000 a year. Like, I'm good.
Mhm.
So I think it's a really challenging thing to discover and create a purpose in life and bring it to business. So we dig into that a lot at our leadership event with people and going through a methodology to discover your unique calling in life and what is your calling, and then how do you create a business that fulfills that calling in
Love
life.
that.
And so it's not easy though. It's challenging. That's the work we did with my mentors in 2021. And then I created that with, painting business pro, and, make it a unique business that's true to your calling and what matters to you in life. So for me, like my calling is people discover power and possibility. And I could tell you about that all day, what that means to me, and, how it's expressed and all that. And then how do you build a business around that? That fulfills not just my calling, but I create a business and a future that fulfills the call. Every person who works at my company has gone through that to discover what's their calling in life. And we create a future for the company that they can see themselves fulfilling their calling in the fulfillment of that future. And it creates a ton of alignment and a totally different world of doing business. But that's how we've kind of approached that whole why. But I will say, like, super challenging. Like, it's really difficult for people when they've kind of fulfilled that first big goal in business of creating freedom. You create it, and then you're like, now what? Society will give you plenty of things to do next, but a lot of it will feel empty. It's like, do more, double it, add another business, launch another location, start another trade, invest in real estate, invest in stocks. Like, society will give you plenty of stuff to do, but like, how much of it is like truly deeply inspiring to you? I don't know. But that's a challenge I see people run into. That's really, really interesting.
One of the things you kind of mentioned to me, we had a phone call kind of prior to the pod. You mentioned, try and avoid shiny object syndrome. That's essentially what you said.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, try to stay the course. And that was one of the mistakes you made before, where you tried to like capture something that was like a big, shiny object. But what can you say to that?
Well, yeah. One time I fell in that trap. No, dude. Like, for years. Well, it's really, really hard because a lot of times shiny objects don't look like shiny objects. Like, it's this, you'll deceive yourself for sure. That was me for a long time. Like, that's not a shiny object. That's a good business idea. Like, no, dude. Focus is like one thing.
Yeah.
And if you're really focused, you're gonna have to focus on one thing for way longer than it feels comfortable to focus on one thing. But that has created incredible business results for us. But it's really, really challenging. Is just to continue. I mean, the list of things I'm so excited to do that are really, really good business ideas. Like, and they would be huge for the company. They'd be huge for the brand. They make a difference for people. Like, I want to do them so bad. I have such a long list of those things, and I don't know if or when I'll ever get to them. But the more you focus, the faster you grow.
Tough pill to swallow, right? It's like, I even got guys that we coach up, they start making some money, they start asking me about like potential business ideas and stuff. And I'm like, guys, slow it down. You just start to see the big bucks. Like, let's really dial this in, get good at what you do. And then maybe you can use this painting as like a machine or, something that can get you somewhere else, right? Because that's essentially what we try and talk about at Paint Your Path. It's, hey, I started this painting business that kind of spiraled into real estate, brick pointing, whatever that is, right? Are you seeing anything that guys are commonly doing once they scale the painting business? I know it's based on the person and kind of what they're about. Anything
probably
like
the most common thing is a second location. Like, I want to expand geographically. Your next million is going to be easier in your existing market. It's not that easy to just, it's not like the illusion is like, dude, I've already got this figured out. Like, it would be so easy because if I started this again, I would get to here so fast. Let's just do that in another market. But it's never as easy as you think. And now you're running two companies. You're like, oh, it's still one company. I'm like, no, you're running two companies now. Like, You're literally running 2 companies. And so that's the biggest one. Yeah. And how many people I see come in and I say, what are your goals in 3 years? And they're like, I'll probably open some other cities. And I'm like, it's just a very common desire.
Yeah.
Is more locations, more businesses. It's not a bad goal to have. It just, most people do it way too early.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree.
And they underestimate the challenge.
I can speak on that for sure.
I mean, me too.
I have multiple businesses, and I tell people all the time, if I can redo it again, I would just focus on my San Diego location and just keep building this up more and more and more. Because I'm good at time management. Like I have multiple locations and different businesses, but I tell people a lot that if I didn't have the coaching doing one-to-ones, I really would have nothing to do because I've built great teams. But the problem I've run into, and I say this proudly because I want people to learn from my mistakes too, is like what you said. I did that. My second business, I actually just shut down. And the reason why I did that is because my partnerships weren't working really well. So then things internally started making it harder for me, which then started taking more time for me, more travel, less focus. And I started getting really distracted. So I love the fact that you mentioned that because, again, now that I've done it, I'm here. I'm like, man, if I could go back 5 years ago, I would have just been 100% just focus on this location. And where would I be now with just this one? It would be so much more. So I agree with you 100% on that.
And dude, there's nothing I'm out here preaching and teaching that isn't a lesson that I learned the hard way. Like they all are. I learned every freaking lesson the hard way. So yeah, I was there too. I was at a marketing I was a co-owner in a marketing company for a while. And when I got a little really quick opportunity to get out of it, and I lost $200,000, and the decision took me about a second. My partner said, "Hey, I'll take over this and this, and you can just like walk away if you want." I'm like, "Done." I literally said that to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Done." And I got a $200,000 loss on it, and I'm totally cool with it. I didn't hesitate a second because that was just the price of distraction and going in too many directions too early. We've started to get really good at saying no to things. We've started to get really good at saying no to things. Our growth has sped up dramatically as we've done that.
It's a good skill. It's going to help our listeners a lot because I can name guys that are dealing with this right now that don't know what direction to go in. Maybe they're overwhelmed or whatever the case may be. And it's like, maybe the next location isn't the best idea. Let's figure out home first, and then we can kind of reassess. Yeah, man. So we're getting to that time. Eric, is there anything you want to kind of mention to anybody out there? Any advice you want to give? Anything like that?
Man, I don't know. I could go for days. How do I say one final thought, man?
We'll do a part 2.
No, I don't think I have much else to add to what we added. I got a ton of stuff. I got a ton of stuff out there. People want to, go deeper on all this. But yeah, man, we're just getting started. I mean, we got a lot of cool things. I told you guys it was like a few years like reinventing all this. And I'll say I guess the last piece would be like, man, you start to really create a business that's got a lot of purpose behind it, and it's, man, that's a game changer. We love what we're doing, and we're super excited about what we're doing, and we love the work we're doing, and like the growth. We did start too many locations early. Like I feel brutally trying to expand way too early. We were doing 2 million. We were doing 2 million a year at one location. We were like, yeah, let's just start popping up a bunch of these, and we've like pulled back on that. And now it's like, all right, we've got 2 companies that'll do almost 10 million this year. And that was our whole thing is, all right, cut that out. That was 2016. 9 companies launched as startups, shut them all but one down, or sold them, or a partner quit. And that was brutal. And then we were like, dude, what are we doing? Like, this is insane. Build a better model first. And we're like, we're going to get it to 10 million and then we'll start growing. And we're not doing startups. We acquire partnerships now, but like that's because we waited. We have a great business. We have a great offer now, and now we can expand. It's not like, I think like the last thought I'll leave is you massively overestimate how fast things can happen in like the 3 to 5 years. Like everything is going to take you way longer, but you're grossly underestimating the compounding effect and exponential growth a decade from now. Like I thought we would be way further than we are now, but the goal used to be like $100 million company. And I'm like, we're not as far as I thought we'd be, but we're going to go rocketing through 100 million. Like it's not like we'll be speeding up still when we hit that number. And so I think like with the time horizon I've got to look at, I'm like, man, if I would have just played the game that way early on and not tried to rush everything and have everything backfire on me. So like just slow down, build things right. It'll take way longer than you think to build them right, but you'll make so much more money in the short term and the long term if you do that, but it's super hard to do.
Wow.
Wow.
Good stuff. I mean,
yeah, we leave it on that for
massive
sure.
value, and I've been enjoying watching your YouTube videos as well. So continue to put them out. Super quality. Yes. I mean, just the topics you cover are amazing. We like to end on a quote. And before that, where can people find you, Eric?
Eric Barstow on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The Painting Business Pro on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So we're actually like launching all the Painting Business Pro content now. So now I'm doing the Eric Barstow channel and Painting Business Pro channel.
Oh,
so
snap.
You can do, you can find a ton of stuff there. You can email me. You can go to paintingbusinesspro.com to learn stuff there. Send me smoke signals, whatever.
Boom. Appreciate
That's
you.
awesome.
Joe, you want to wrap it up on a quote?
Yeah, man, I'll do the original quote that I always love to say, just because we got the OG on here. So if you strive to be 1% better each day, at the end of 100 days, you'll be 100% better than when you first started. So one of my favorite quotes. So we'll leave it at that.
Boom. Eric, thank you so much, my brother. Joel, a pleasure.
Thanks, dude.
Till next time. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace.